We're joined with Richard Lewis here at the Monday Night Community Show. We're going to be talking all about M&D 100. Firstly, welcome along, Richard.
Hello, nice to visit your station.
I was firstly wondering if you could tell us actually what is M&D 100?
It's an event to celebrate the formation of the former Maidstone and District Bus Company, which was formed in 1911 and spread over the forthcoming years to cover much of West Kent, including the Isle of Sheppey and Sittingbourne areas.
What is your role going to be within this?
My role is one of the organising team. I'm particularly looking at promoting the event, and which is why I'm on the radio now. I also worked for M&D from 1976, so although it's now called Arriva, I've been involved with the buses for a long time.
Fair time then.
Yeah, 35 years this year.
Now your role's sort of two parts, isn't it? It's partly from Arriva and you're also coming from a bus sort of club, aren't you?
That's right, I'm a committee member of the M&D and East Kent Bus Club, which is a club that's been around for 60 years next year. I'm on the committee of that. So I'm looking at M&D 100 from a personal point of view, from the bus club's point of view, and also with my Arriva role, because the company is helping with promoting the event.
What is your role at Arriva?
I'm publicity manager.
We are talking to Richard Lewis and we're talking all about the M&D 100 celebrations. We're joined back with Richard Lewis. We're talking all about M&D. Now Richard, I'm sure many of our listeners remember the M&D buses here on the island and the rest as well, but what is the history of M&D?
M&D was formed in March 1911, hence the Centenary this year. They expanded over the years from a very small fleet of about 5 vehicles running in the Maidstone, Chatham and Gravesend area to eventually cover most of West Kent, and down into East Sussex, stretching as far as Bexhill on the Sussex coast up to Faversham in the Kent area. The buses on the Isle of Sheppey were owned and run by a private operator until 1933, which M&D then took over.
Okay.
So they didn't actually appear on the island until then, and the same year they took over a company in Sittingbourne, so that gave them a presence in the Swale area. In 1969 they were nationalised along with all other large bus companies, and then government policy changed so that in 1986 they were privatised, and then eventually in 1995 sold to another group, which eventually became Arriva in 1998, and that's where we are now.
How are you going to be celebrating M&D 100?
Right, we've got the event is going to take place at Kent Showground. We're aiming to get as many former Maidstone and District buses along there as we can. There's a considerable number either in preservation or still running with other bus companies, and in fact Arriva still runs quite a number. The oldest vehicle we've got booked in is a 1912 open top double deck, the chassis of which ran for M&D. I think the body is a replica, and we will have vehicles representing all the decades that M&D ran through. We're also wanting to encourage former staff to come along for a reunion, and we've also got a couple of guest speakers who are directors for the company, who will be doing talks during the day.
Richard, what actually is the date of this celebration?
It's taking place on Saturday the 9th of April. It's at Kent Showground on the A249 near Detling, and the event is taking place between 10 AM and 4 PM. There's an admission charge of £5 per person, except that under 12s will go in free, and that admission gives entry to M&D 100, also the annual Heritage Transport Show and Auction, which covers all types of vehicles, not just buses, and there'll be free bus rides and various other things going on which the admission price covers.
What organisations are supporting this?
Right, we've got various organisations. In fact there's 6 altogether. There's the North Kent Vehicle Preservation Group, who are involved in preserving various types of vehicle, particularly buses. There's the Maidstone and District Preservation Group, which is a group of people that have bought some former Maidstone and District vehicles and they're restoring them to how they used to look when they were running for the company. The M&D and East Kent Bus Club, which I'm representing, which has something like 450 members and has been recording all goings on with buses and coaches in Kent since 1952. Kent Showground themselves are helping with the organisation, and Arriva is also supporting the event and using the Arriva website to promote it. In addition, there's the M&D Staff Reunion Club, which was set up 15 years ago, I think, to bring together former members of staff and current ones as well, and they will be hosting the reunion for former staff that we hope will attend the event.
Now, we are going to be giving out some useful contact details regarding this event towards the end of this interview. We are talking to Richard Lewis, and we're talking all about M&D 100 here at the Monday Night Community Show on BRFM. We're talking to Richard Lewis here at the Monday Night Community Show. We're talking all about M&D 100. Now, Richard, you briefly mentioned that you're looking for past employees of M&D. I was wondering if you could expand on that.
Yes, M&D over the years must have employed thousands of local people, and I think most people in the area probably know someone that worked on the buses, or they worked on the buses themselves. So we'd like the Centenary celebration to involve people as well as buses, and we're inviting anyone that used to work for the company to come along. There'll be a room set aside at the event called the Reunion Tea Room, where they can meet up with old friends and colleagues over a cup of tea, and the M&D Staff Reunion Club people will be hosting that part of the event. So if anyone listening worked for M&D at any time in the past, then they'll be welcome to come along.
Now, the event's taking place on Saturday the 9th of April at the Kent Showground. What can our listeners expect to see, and what will be happening on the day?
Right, we hope to have the largest gathering of former M&D vehicles ever, and we're working on getting some vehicles back to Kent that have been away for a very long time, and hopefully for the bus enthusiasts there, they'll provide a few surprises. There will also be other vintage buses and probably not so vintage buses representing other companies, so there'll be lots to look at. We'll be running free bus rides around the showground. There's quite an extensive network of roads there, so we can give a decent ride, probably running every 10 minutes using different vehicles, which will give people a chance to ride on buses from a bygone era. There'll be sales stands, a slideshow showing pictures of buses through the ages. As I mentioned earlier, a couple of talks by former directors of the company, and then there's the Heritage Transport Show for people to look round as well, so lots to do.
Why did you pick the 9th of April to celebrate the event?
Well, the Heritage Transport Show was already booked at Kent Showground, and the actual centenary date is the 23rd of March, so it was very close to the actual centenary, and it made sense to have the M&D event alongside a show already geared to people with an interest in transport. So hopefully the two will go side by side very nicely.
Richard, I was wondering if you could refresh our listeners where and when the event's taking place, and also I know you've got a website where our listeners can find out more as well.
Yes, it's happening on Saturday the 9th of April. The gates open at 10 o'clock and the show will take place until 4 o'clock. It's being held at the Kent Showground at the top of Detling Hill, and further information is available on the Arriva website at www.arrivabus.co.uk/MD100/. So if people visit the website, they'll find full information of various aspects of the show. The site's being updated quite regularly, perhaps 2 or 3 times a week, so it's always worth having another look, see if there's any new information. And there's a list there which shows the number or the details of the vehicles that are entered in the event so far, and that's being updated quite regularly.
Richard, I'd like to thank you very much for speaking to us here at the Monday Night Community Show.
Okay, thank you for advertising the event, and I hope your listeners come along and support it.
That's Richard Lewis telling us all about M&D 100.